Hey folks, Dagan here with Andertons TV, and you join us today in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, where we're here to celebrate 75 years of the iconic Fender Telecaster. Leo Fender's legendary design didn't just change country, it changed the entire music landscape. So we're here in the country rock capital of the world. I'm going to take you along for the ride. First off, we're heading to the legendary Ryman Auditorium, where Fender are holding their incredible Teletown event this evening. A show which won't only celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Telecaster, but 75 years of the players who put this guitar on the map and have kept it there through thick and thin, from genre to genre, from the past into the present and on to the future. It's going to be a massive celebration, showcasing the best of the best when it comes to artists who class this guitar as not only an important tool, but in some cases, an extra limb. They're so tied to that iconic Telecaster silhouette and everything it can do. Oh, and I've also been told there's going to be a few special guests rocking up too. But before that, let's head to where the show is taking place. A building steeped in history and the perfect place for Fender to hold Teletown. The world famous Ryman Auditorium. This place is just insane. Being in here is, you can feel the electricity in the air. Over 100 artists that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have graced that stage. And as you can see right now, they're setting up for the Teletown event, celebrating 75 years of the Telecaster tonight. And that show is going to add one more legendary concert to this insane, legendary building. Wow. So, the Ryman Auditorium, or you may know it as the Union Gospel Tabernacle or the Grand Ole Opry House, is a historic venue located in downtown Nashville that's so important to the world of music, it'll make your head spin. Opened in 1892 by Thomas Ryman and originally known as the Union Gospel Tabernacle, this beautiful late Victorian Gothic revival style building originally started life as a church after Thomas Ryman pledged to build a structure for the people of Nashville to attend large-scale revivals indoors after becoming very close to influential revivalist Samuel Porter Jones. Hence why the Ryman is known to many as the Mother Church of country music. It's probably best known as the home of the Grand Ole Opry radio show from 1943 to 1974, which famously helped launch the careers of Dolly Parton, Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and so many more. The Man in Black himself also shot all episodes of the Johnny Cash show here too. Oh, and not only is today celebrating 75 years of the wonderful Fender Telecaster, 134 years ago, on that stage was the first ever performance in 1892 at the Ryman, or as it was then known, the Union Gospel Tabernacle. So of course you can do individual tours, go backstage and learn about all the history of this incredible place. Like what we've just done, and it's been magical. But literally the stage is there, all the seats are there, and at the back of the venue, it's a museum in itself. In these glass cases you've got some incredible history, some incredible garments, of course. I'm next to Dusty and Billy's ZZ Top Gear. Yeah, close up with them boots. The coolest boots I've ever seen, have mercy. And in the Rock Hall at the Ryman, just back here, they've got incredible bits of memorabilia from people like Wanda Jackson, who first played here in 1955. Eric Clapton, the Everly Brothers. Of course, there's tons of gear from Mr. Johnny Cash. We pretty much call this place his home. Sheryl Crow, Peter Frampton, and right at the back, a garment that I might try and fit in my suitcase. What do you think, Alex? Can I rock that? I definitely had those boots when I was a kid. I told you this place is like a museum in and itself. What we have right here is very special and very fitting to tonight's event. This is Leo Fender's 1943 prototype lap steel guitar, the first Fender guitar ever made. So with all that history, there's no better place for a company like Fender to celebrate something with just as much history and that's even more iconic, their beautiful Telecaster. So let's get to the Teletown show and celebrate 75 years of this groundbreaking instrument.
From James Burton to George Harrison to Sheryl Crow and to the incredible artists on this stage tonight, generations have picked it up and made it their own. And there's no better place to celebrate that than right here in Nashville. So let's celebrate the next 75 years the right way. And let's have an amazing, amazing night. And don't forget play guitar, play Fender. Let's have a great night tonight.
So, this anniversary show is hands down the greatest star-studded assemblage of Telecaster talent ever. Hosted by the wonderful Zach Childs, the show represents not only iconic Telecaster players from the past, who showed the world just what this guitar can do, but also the players today who are holding strong with the Telecaster, continuing to see their tunes with a Tele top the charts, to artists who are pushing Leo Fender's incredible design from 1951 into the future. The show started off with Nate Gregory and Matthias Canteri. Nate was rocking his 68 Telecaster, which was just lovely, and Matthias was rocking a blue Tele with a classic Nashville spec 3 pickup configuration. Andrea Benz and Maggie Bowe hit the stage just after. Andrea was playing a white and gold thin line, and Maggie was rocking a gorgeous Silver Sparkle 75th anniversary Tele. Perfect for the night. Emma Zink played a wonderful tribute to the legendary Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders by playing Back in the Chain Gang, and was rocking a gorgeous custom Fender thin line Tele with a B5 Bigsby and a Filtertron in the neck position. Guthrie Trapp joined John Oates on stage for a few numbers. Guthrie was playing his old blonde Tele, and I believe Mr. Oates was playing one of the new 75th anniversary American Professional Custom models. Of course, Brent Mason was there, playing his iconic heavily modified 67 Telecaster, which has been on so many tunes over the years. Finished in its distinctive primer grey satin lacquer, which is worn down in the most peculiar, wonderful way. You can of course get his new signature models, which are astounding, but this was the OG, and it was so great to see in person. Zach Top then joined Brent on stage for a few tunes. Of course, the two have collaborated quite a bit recently, so it was great to hear a couple of numbers live. Kingfish was there, melting faces from front to back as always, and he was playing his signature Delta Day Telecaster. And he opened his 2-song set with a cover of Prince's song Cream, adding that Prince was the reason why he plays a Telecaster today. Trey Hensley hit the stage next, and he was rocking one of the awesome Mike Campbell signature Teles, which are super interesting. Speaking of signature guitars, the brothers Osborne were there, and John was rocking his new signature Telecaster, which features a B-bender and custom voice pickups, and a really interesting pickguard, whereas TJ was playing a really cool Fender Palomino vintage acoustic guitar. Going from 2 brothers at the Ryman to 2 sisters, Larkin Poe was up next, and Rebecca was playing her beautiful 50s spec Silver Sparkle Telecaster. I believe it's got the Closet Classic relic design on as well, so very subtle, but not so subtle with it being Silver Sparkle. And our sister Megan was tearing it up with a lap steel. But speaking of tearing it up, all of a sudden, after their set, we had the first special guest, which was Billy Gibbons. He joined them on stage, and it blew me away. I'm a huge Billy Gibbons fan. He was, of course, playing one of his custom Telecasters with a very Billy Gibbons-esque finish, and it looked like it was leather-wrapped and had an oversized metal pickguard. Hey, the dude's a legend. You can do what he wants, and that was a very Billy design, and it was just incredible to see that guy live. Him and Larkin Poe worked tremendously well together on stage. Tommy Emmanuel showed up next, which was interesting because he's often associated with an acoustic guitar. But he actually had a signature guitar in 1998. And they made 100 of them. But what he was playing tonight wasn't one of them. It was a Fender Custom Shop 1960 Tele Custom with a heavy relic job in a chocolate 3-colour sunburst finish. He said it reminds him of his 1960 Tele, which is on display at the Guitar Museum in Tamworth, New South Wales. Next up, a legend of the Ryman, Ricky Skaggs, who had plenty of memorabilia knocking around in glass cabinets at the back of the Ryman, and he was rocking his lovely red 57 Telecaster. But as soon as he was finished, the lights went off, and you could just hear the hum of 2 just turned on Fender Panaverbs, and the next surprise guest hit the stage.
Jack White.
Playing his famous triple caster. One of my favourite Telecasters on the entire planet as a massive White Stripes and Jack White fan. The design's insane, the pickups are insane, it's all custom specs to him. It's one of the most versatile Telecasters you'll ever see and play, and to see him play it up close like that, everyone was speechless after his performance.
So I've just noticed this wonderful thing in the edit, so I'm recording this after the trip, as you can hear from my voice. Check out Jack's second guitar, which wasn't used and it's hidden in the darkness at the back. It looks like a deep dark red triple caster, thin line, as you can see from the binding around that F-hole. How beautiful is that?
And when things couldn't get any crazier from Jack White, Brad Paisley hit the stage at the end of the evening with, of course, a Paisley Telecaster, and I'm pretty sure the windows were blown out at the back of the Ryman. It was so loud, it was so accurate, it was so insane, it was wonderful. And I believe the Tele he was playing to be his custom shop limited edition 1967 Lost Paisley signature Telecaster, but I'm not too sure. The guy has so many guitars. If you know the actual answer, please comment down below. And the night itself was closed with the greatest Tele jam of all time, where all the artists hit the stage and essentially jammed on the same guitar, at its heart, tweaked and fiddled with in different ways, but all indeed mighty Telecasters. So now, after all that insanity, let's take some time away from the madness and head to Fender's Nashville showroom and chat to some very important guests. So, ladies and gents, this is quite special. I have the pleasure to be sat with Justin Norvell, who's the Chief Product Officer at Fender, and of course, Bud Cole, who is Fender's CEO. How is it going, gents? Congratulations on not only last night, the incredible show, but also 75 years of the Telecaster. You must be pretty proud.
Super proud. 80 years of Fender and 75 of the P-Bass as well, so it's a busy, action-packed year.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Last night's show was just incredible, and again, can't thank you enough for having us down to experience the past, present, and future of this incredible instrument. But with that, it's, as a guitar, it hasn't changed much in its many years. What was your first experience of seeing it at Telecaster? Have you got a specific memory of going, there's that iconic silhouette? What's your first memory?
Well, my first memory of the Telecaster guitar was probably around 1981, 82. All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes, I think, had just come out. And there was a poster that I had. I worked in a record store at that time of Pete Townsend. And, he was doing the famous windmill pose. And he had a gunmetal blue Telecaster with a maple neck. And I just saw that poster, and I was hooked. And then it took a couple years later, in 1988, I bought a guitar. It was a made in Japan, 1969 thin line reissue Telecaster, and that's been my guitar that's been by my side since that time. So it's 38, 39 years now.
So you still got it, yeah?
Absolutely, love it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What about you, Justin? What's your memory?
I would say my parents had a great record collection growing up, and I think the cover of Born to Run.
Nice.
So just seeing, and a little bit later, there was a box set where he's like walking out on stage with the guitar like slung down low. And I remember just, it imprinted on me somehow. And, I was going through different phases of listening to punk, metal, and different stuff, but the visage of that and some Keith Richards stuff. Remember Live Aid when that started, Status Quo opened up, and two guys with Telecasters. And from there, I just started to be way more hyper aware of it. But yeah, that's what kicked it off for me.
It's awesome. Like, I also appreciate the fact that it's very rock oriented for you guys as well, because you see the Telecaster in so many different situations, and especially being in Nashville, I spoke to so many people and watched so many people play who very country oriented. So the fact that the two guys from Fender were like, oh, it's rock guys. Because I wholly believe that the harder you hit a Telecaster, the better it sounds. They're so nuanced, but when you're really digging into a Telecaster, they just sound
And it's versatile. It's 50% sounds like a Telecaster, and it's so elegantly simple that there's headroom for the other 50% to just be like your personality here. Which enables it to work regardless of genre or style or anything.
With that as well, though, because it is 75 years and it's barely changed, the Tele. What is it about it, do you believe, has made it stand the test of time?
Well, I would say that when Leo created that, he created the guitar for working musicians, right? And it was the most amazing thing about it is the guitar, the discipline that he had to have to make that guitar as simple as it was, to me is beyond comprehension, because he could have just kept adding stuff, but he was an engineer. He had the discipline to do that, and he created, just really distilled it down to its basics, its absolute basics.
Do you think that inherently, because he wasn't a guitar player, that helped him like simplify and not overcomplicate it? Like,
well, I think that really was his intention. He was looking for tonality, he was looking for reliability, he was ease of use, and really for a guitar that could really take a beating for musicians that were working musicians. And so what he created was, he created this simple guitar, which probably, I'm going to just guess, is that he possibly believed that over time people would evolve and he would learn more about how people used it, because he was a listener. He listened to what people
wanted to do with guitars, and then he evolved the guitar. But in all that, what he created was this beautiful white canvas that the Telecaster is a Telecaster. It's the instrument, but it's the player that decides how it's going to be used and how it will sound. And to what Justin just said is that 50% is the guitar itself. The other 50% is completely up to the player to decide.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really play and do just about anything on a Telecaster, and I don't think you can say that about any other guitar.
I wholly agree, and that was going to be my next question. You see Telecasters pretty much unmodified in the hands of bluegrass guys, all the way through to the heaviest death metal you'll ever see. It's that silhouette with the pickups and the selector, not necessarily a different neck or anything. It just works for so many different genres.
Yes.
Do you think it is that whole blank canvas original design which lends itself to so many different
Yeah,
genres?
it's a purity and an honesty and a clarity, because Fenders, as time went on, became more featured. You know, the Strat has more controls, more switching, more pickups, the tremolo, and like each instrument kind of started to gain in features over time. And I think that, this distilled to its raw essence, it's kind of like just pulling your raw creativity straight out. It's just, there's nothing, no capacitance, there's nothing in the way.
With that as well, I appreciate a good tremolo as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
But the string through nature of a Telecaster, when you pick one up and play a G chord, the whole thing just shakes.
Yes.
And it is an instrument in the most truest sense.
It sounds...
And with that you can then do anything you want. Anything you want,
And I think unlike other guitars, I think sometimes I consider a Telecaster to be almost more polyphonic. You know, like sometimes you hit a G chord and it sounds like a G chord, like all the notes come together in like a ball, and you hear all 6 strings when you play a Telecaster. It's very like, all of it is just kind of hitting you at once. So it's a much different take, which is why I think that bite that people love, you know, from a Telecaster just really cuts through, you know.
In any scenario that you put it in.
Yeah, I think, I mean, my main use for guitars has always been songwriting. I'm a singer, and I use the guitar to strum and write songs. And I think to Justin's point, whenever I strum and playing songs, the guitar throws off a lot of different kind of sort of tones I catch in my ear that actually help me create melodies for the lyrics I'm going to sing for the song. And that's why I find it so useful for songwriting. And, you know, but again, I think, however, it's such a blank canvas that each artist will take that guitar and either use it as it is or modify it or modify it themselves or modify it through what Fender has done over the years with these guitars and really use it. Because the whole goal of Fender is always to create, you know, all we want to do is create instruments to support musicians so they can express everything that's going on in their heart and their head in the best way that they can. That's what we do.
With that as well, the guitar inherently was almost modular when it was first created, and the whole point of it was to mess with it and change things. If things were to break, or be creative, like, and work alongside it and make it your own.
Yeah, well, I mean, many of these guitars here, the Brent Mason that's right between you guys, I mean, that is born of a need for one guitar in the studio, you know, to not have to bring 6 guitars down. So that modular platform allowed for someone to solve a problem they were having creatively that then created this array of sounds that then people wanted to copy. And so again, it's a canvas that some paint was thrown on and then people reacted to it. It's, you know, as far as, you know, it's interesting here when you look around, because it's, the Tele in its purest form hasn't changed that much, but there's so many interpretations of it. You know, Jack White's obviously there. It's got so much stuff going on. It's incredible. But Leo was always changing, and the Tele is, we try to color inside the lines, but like a 52 and a 56 are a little different. You get the pickguards change, the neck shapes change, the pickups changed year over year, and there was just this subtle, quiet march, and that they weren't making big news out of it, but the instruments were just evolving, going to rosewood, slabs versus round lamb, and all of that stuff, and just always experimenting and just what can be better, what can be different, what are people looking for? And so we admire that and we embody that today.
It's really cool because, again, 75 years is a long time, and you think with the canvas that blank, you would have ticked every box thus far. But people seem to keep thinking of ways Jack is a prime example of making this guitar like hit the next step, like the next total plateau.
Yeah.
And that's got to be quite hard, like for a company. Like you obviously want to honor this iconic silhouette of the Telecaster, but bring it into the 21st century.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the 75th anniversary models. You've tweaked it just ever so slightly to kind of modernize in a little way. How do you think that's going to go into the future?
I think what we showed with those limited models is that it's honor and celebrate the past, kind of show the present, and then show where it can go.
Yeah.
So we've got the 51 road worn, we've got the American Pro with the flame top and the binding to represent today, and then that liquid gold, guitar with the ebony fretboard with the cool inlays, and it's got our first rail pickup with the gold rails on it.
Yeah.
And that's compound radius. That's all of the things that the Ultra has on it, and it just kind of showcases. That does not look like a guitar that's 75 years old. If you look at that liquid gold's Tele, you're just like, that looks like a vibrant, vital, new guitar. But if you lay it next to the blonde 51, you could see gold and liquid gold. It's like the blonde is essentially gold, and like you could see that they're siblings. So it's going to continue to evolve. I think even more so, innovation will evolve in what you plug into. The guitar itself, there's a sacredness with the guitar. We've put USB jacks on guitars and technology in it, and people really, the guitar is this human interactive thing, and then there's the world of possibilities that you plug into.
Like you say as well, like the 50-50 thing, like it's half the guitar, half the personality, but the guitar inherently goes into the rest of it, and that makes it all a wonderful concoction. With that as well, I just want to caveat, if you've never seen the liquid gold in person, it looks great in pictures, but I highly recommend you've got to go to a store and see one in person, because it's an incredible thing.
Stunning, isn't it?
It's bloody amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, I just kind of riff a little bit on what Justin was saying before, is that I think when you talk about this anniversary launch, right? The Telecaster anniversary launch. These are not quantum leap departures from the Telecaster.
Yeah.
They're not. And they are evolutions of it. There are some unique twists on what we do. But when you then talk about an artist model like the Jack White guitar, this is specifically keeping in mind that our mission is to support players, and especially artists, on their musical journey, and to give them the tools to express what's going on in their heart and head. That's very important. So then it's very specific to what the artist wants. And you look at like Jack's guitar. I mean, we worked very closely with him, and we went in many different directions with this guitar, uniquely for the way that he uses the guitar, and that he's very specific about and very particular about what he wants. And so I think, and each player, the beautiful thing about Fenders, much like what Jack originally did, is he started when he was playing Telecasters. This is just the final evolution, or an evolution to making a normal standard version of a Telecaster his own. Okay. And so I think that's the beautiful thing is you can pick up our Telecasters, American-made Telecasters, Mexican-made Telecasters, and you can actually begin to play those guitars and learn about those guitars, and over time evolve it into exactly what you want it to be.
It's almost as if you provide the recipe and they add the seasoning.
That's
so
right.
The recipe is just there, and they just add the hot sauce or this or that. Everyone's got their own different preferences and stuff, but you guys have the core.
Well, I think that's a great analogy with food, and it's the same thing with the canvases. We provide the canvas, you provide the paint, and the artistry behind it.
Yeah. With all the Telecasters behind us, all the signature models, the Tele is one of the most, probably, it has the loyalist following. Like a lot of Telecaster players that I know and you can think of have always played Telecasters. What is it about the Tele that you believe makes people so loyal to it?
I think it's that honesty and the simplicity and purity, that is just, it's a simple, elegant machine, but it doesn't have a lot of things that can kind of go wrong. Tremolos can be finicky, and different things can be the more features you add, the more opportunity for things to not, always go right or to have to be dealt with. So I think that, again, it's so just boiled down. If you get one of these and it is everything that you want it to be, and the pickups are dialed and everything's perfect. It's like whatever you're sending it into, whatever channel, or signal chain you're sending it into, it's perfect, because it's just raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they start on a Telecaster, I think innately, because it's the design was intended to be so bare bones and simple, it's an incredibly forgiving guitar if that's the guitar you start playing on.
Yeah.
And I think over time, as you develop as a player and you begin to master the instrument, it just becomes easier and easier to play. But it never gives up that, like, you make a mistake on it, it still sounds pretty cool. And so you just get used to that. And once you get used to that, there's other guitars that aren't quite as forgiving as a Telecaster. And I just think people love that. And again, that canvas, just, you can take it any direction, and people do.
So with direction, that's a great little segue into the final little question. What do you see for the future of the Telecaster? Because 75 years, a lot's happened. As we can see behind us, there's been a lot of seasoning added over the years. What do you see for the future of the Telecaster?
I mean, I think that the future is secure.
Yeah.
And I think that
if it's worked thus far, it's...
Yeah, I mean, and the Telecaster is kind of the purest version of the electric guitar. I think people
It is
love,
the electric guitar.
Yeah, it is, and it's people crave authenticity, and you sit at a piano, you sit at a set of drums, but you wear a guitar, and there is this reaction that's more personal that you have, and just more so than a lot of instruments, the way that you pick, the way that you bend a note, the way that you do certain things. And on a Telecaster, I find myself jumping around more, using the tone knob, picking here versus picking at the back of the bridge, and all of these different things. So it forces you to kind of really explore the instrument. But as far as new sounds will continue to be invented. And because the Telecaster has that extra 50% of headroom inside of it, that's why it's always been able to go from Joe Strummer, to Don Rich, to Jim Root, and to Block Party, to Johnny Greenwood, all of these different players that come from different angles. It just works, and it's stable, and it's perfect. So the future is bright, it's secure, and as we saw last night, we had legends there, and then we had the emerging new class of talent that was there to pick up the torch. And we're here for it, and we'll continue evolving the Telecaster to suit the needs of artists. And it's these days, again, it's evolution. It's subtle. We're gonna, as people get into different effects and things, you voice the electronics just right for all of that. But this instrument, if it's endured 75 years, it will easily endure 75 more.
Amazing.
The other thing I would add to that, when you go back to last night's event, I mean, you go through that roster of 20, almost 25 artists, I think. If you count the session musicians, probably 30, right, playing. All of them had very distinct and unique sounds. I mean, there were several country players, there were a couple rockers in there was the blues, et cetera, et cetera. One common denominator. They were all using Telecasters.
Yeah.
And all the Telecasters they were using were basically built off the same foundation.
Yeah.
And there was that dynamism between all of them. And I think that's really important.
I only believe they could have done the whole show on one guitar.
Well,
that totally would have worked. It would have sounded just as brilliant.
And I think it would have. That's actually a very interesting, maybe something we have to look at in the future, right?
100th anniversary.
I agree with everything that Justin said. I would say this as well, though, is that when you think about the last 75 years of the Telecaster and the last 80 years of Fender, it's really been developed in the Americas and developed in really the UK, Ireland, to some extent in Japan. They have a long history with Fender. But what's really exciting to me, so we have all this history, and a lot of the musicians in the countries I just mentioned, they build off of their inspirations from what had happened before.
Yeah.
What I'm really interested to see for the Telecaster going forward is how in countries, like several countries in Asia, in LATAM, all across Latin America and Mexico and Brazil, countries that don't have that same history per se, and those years of catalog and players and history to riff off of. They have not only the white canvas of the Telecaster, they have the white canvas of go take it wherever you want. And so what we're starting to see in markets like Indonesia, in China, and in Brazil, and in Mexico is people doing things that we've never seen or heard on guitars and writing music that isn't bound by the last 80 or 100 years of music. It is only connected to whatever they can imagine, unbound by all that stuff. And I can tell you, as we have brought the Fender brand and the kind of the American music out to the rest of the world for the last 80 years, 75 years of Telecasters, I'd love to see the next 75, 80 years of us taking in all the way that these players play all around the world and absorbing that all back into Fender, and bringing it back in. And that's the most exciting thing about as we go into new markets and distribute into new locations and people begin to experience the Telecaster for the very first time. That for me is going to provide a whole new catalog of creativity, of expression. I couldn't be more excited about that.
That's brilliantly interesting, because me asking you, what are you excited about the future of the Telecaster, and you guys are like, we're excited to see where it goes. You guys just you're providing the we're just as excited as I am to ask you guys. You guys are like, we're excited to see what these guys do.
Well, it all comes. I mean, that when Leo Fender created this for working musicians, the Telecaster is what it is. It's the artists that bring real meaning to it and expression to it. And again, our mission continues to be to support artists and players to unleash and express all the creativity that's in their heads and hearts through our instruments that we make. And we couldn't be happier to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Telecaster this year, and obviously our relationship working together with you guys too.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again for last night. The show was incredible, and here's to another 75 years. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
What an incredible experience. Of course, everything Telecaster is linked in the description box just down there where you can check it out at Andertons. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. That was only day one. Stay tuned for day 2 of this trip coming very soon.